The Sword and Shield era is almost completely out of print now, and that means the booster box prices and sealed product have been on the rise. But how much? Let's discuss it in today's video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is VMAT. If you do enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and joining in all the fun we have here. Today we have another finance video to talk about, and we're going to be talking about the Sword and Shield era. We're going to be taking a look at the booster boxes all the way from the very first set to the last set, which was the Crown Zenith product. Okay, with that being said, why don't we take a look at the very first booster box released from the Sword and Shield era, which was the Sword and Shield base set. Now, it's actually been going down in price. One of the only Sword and Shield era products that actually has been on the decline. Most of them have been rising quite a lot in the past 3 months, which is what we're going to be mostly looking at is the 3-month chart here. So $271.27 for the base set booster box. If you look at the 1-year chart, as you can see, it had a massive pump. It was at its highest point in June 26th to about July 2nd at $295, but basically is on the decline ever since then. Why? Well, it's just, you know, you're not looking at any alt art cards in this. The set, the pulls are just not that great compared to later Sword and Shield era sets. And now, especially the Scarlet and Violet era, the pull rates are off the chart. Some people think they're too good. So a lot of investors don't like to hold on to the sealed product now, and they think it's kind of going not to zero. That's over dramatic, but it's going down compared to the Sword and Shield stuff. But let's take a look at the Rebel Clash booster box. Actually been on the rise, surprisingly, for a set that didn't have a lot of the crazy alt arts and stuff, right? You have a set that's, you know, perceived poorly at first, but now is on the rise, sitting at $231.18. And 3 months ago, it started off at just about $221. Look at the 1-year chart, and it's been on the rise pretty much ever since. And it sort of bottomed out at February 27th to March 5th, but it's pretty much been on the rise ever since, and it's gained about $20 in value in the last year. Next up is another booster box that's been on the rise, Darkness Ablaze, and yes, you do have Charizard on the box art and pack art for this one. Now it's sitting at $148.17, actually not that high at all for compared to some of the other Sword and Shield products. But if you look at the 1-year chart, it hasn't really done much. I mean, it's sitting a little higher than it was a year ago, which was $140, so it's really only gained $8 in an entire year. Now we have Champions Path ETBs. Now this one has had a massive pump in the past month, from January 12th sitting at $93.39 and now is at $119.64. If you look at the 1-year chart, I mean, it was on the decline. It wasn't really getting a lot of movement at all. It's kind of stagnant, sitting at $98.29, and then it went all the way down to $93, and that looks like it was its absolute bottom, and now it is really shooting up in price. Next up here we have Vivid Voltage. This is another one. I'm surprised, you know, the Pikachu, everyone wanted this Pikachu so much. It was one of the reasons why people were purchasing and opening the set, and now it's sitting at $128.42, higher than it was at release, but still, if you look at the 3-month chart, it's actually down from $130.56. But if you look at the 1-year chart, as you can see, it went from $128.70 to about $128.42. So in an entire year, it hasn't really gained or lost much value at all. Next up, why don't we take a look at the Shining set from the Sword and Shield era. This is Shining Fates with a beautiful Eevee on the box art, sitting at $45.08 right now. 3 months ago, sitting at $44.75, so it's went up a little bit, like a few percent maybe. And then you look at the box price, you know, from 6 months ago, it was sitting at about $40. Look at the 1-year chart, and it's actually been on the decline. 1 year ago, sitting at $51.54, so one of the only Sword and Shield products that's actually been on the decline in the past year. There's been a few, but a lot of them in the later, especially the later sets you're going to see in this video, have been going up. Not Battle Styles, unfortunately, which is the next set we're talking about. Sitting at $102.08 though. January 21st to 23rd, it was sitting at $109. Look at the 1-year chart here, and it's one of, yeah, it's not, it was always a set that people disliked. It just was. It's unfortunate. I still have a few boxes sealed. I think it's going to be a good performer long run, but if you look at it right now, oof, yeah, it hasn't really gained much. It's actually lost about $6 in the last year, so it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. We have Chilling Reign right now, one of the better performers in the Sword and Shield era. If you look at the 3-month chart, it has risen quite substantially, sitting at $169.85. 3 months ago, it was sitting at $147, so it's actually gained $22. 1 year chart here, wow, sitting, that's wild. 1-year chart, $135.79. So it's gained some substantial value in the past year. Next up, the best performer from the Sword and Shield era, the one that everyone loves for the alt arts, and obviously Rayquaza as well, which is another popular Pokemon, sitting at $479.95. That is an incredible total. 3 months ago, sitting at $435.89. Look at the 1-year chart. It has been rising quite substantially, sitting at $341.20 1 year ago today. Wow, fascinating. Next up, we have the Celebrations ETB, one of the products that hasn't been doing too well in the past 3 months, sitting at $76.47. 3 months ago, sitting at $82.09. Look at the 1-year chart here. And yeah, not a lot of growth here at all. 1 year ago, sitting at $78.45. So it's lost about $2 in value, so nothing crazy, but still a great product. We have Fusion Strike here, one that has been shooting up quite a lot in the past 2 weeks. Unbelievable, sitting at $157.32. 3 months ago, sitting at $148.25. Look at the 1-year chart, and it has been on the rise. Pretty good growth actually in the last year. So 1 year ago, sitting at $134.80. So it's went up by about $24. Next up here, we have Brilliant Stars. Love this set. Absolutely. I was going to say brilliant, but I don't know. That's just too tongue-in-cheek. It is brilliant. I just didn't want to use that word. Let's just say it's brilliant. Brilliant movement on this booster box. I love the box art. I love the fact that you have that beautiful alternate art Charizard VMAX. So it's sitting at $158.50. I love the fact that you have the beautiful Charizard V in here as well. So it's sitting at $158.50. 3 months ago, it was sitting at $134.62. Look at the 1-year chart. It's actually went down, believe it or not. Even though it's had some great growth in the last 3 months, it's actually lower than it was a year ago, sitting at $181.13. Everyone thought this was going to be like the next Evolving Skies potentially, right? Especially because of Charizard. I still think there's great potential for this box, and I do think it's going to be the second best performer, in my opinion, out of the Sword and Shield era if we look at these boxes 10 years from now. I could be wrong, but I just think that Charizard alone is just a substantially good card. Next up, we have Astral Radiance. Currently sitting at $137.51, so it has been rising in the past 3 months. 3 months ago, sitting at $119. Wow. 1 year ago, it was sitting at $121.91, so it has actually risen by about $16, which is not bad at all. Next up, we have Pokemon Go. Probably one of the worst sets, one of the worst releases from the Sword and Shield era. Doesn't matter though, it's been on the rise in the last 3 months, currently sitting at $39.52 for this ETB. 3 months ago, it was sitting at $34. Look at the 1-year chart, it's actually went down a bit. It was sitting at $39.93. Absolute bottom was the second week of November 6th to November 12th at about $33.53. Next up, we have Lost Origin. Beautiful set. I love the Giratina in this set, as I'm sure a lot of you do. It's sitting at $145.92. 3 months ago, it was sitting at $132.33. If you look at the 1-year chart, and you look at the growth right there, $137.27, popped up all the way to almost $170 in April. And now it's sitting at $146.11. So it has actually gained about like $9 in value. Nothing crazy, but remember, we're just getting out of a bear market for TCGs in general. So definitely a box to keep an eye on in the future. We have Silver Tempest here. I love this set so much. I love the Lugia in this. Incredible set, $133.10 currently for its market price. 3 months ago, it's sitting at $112.12. So look at the 1-year chart here. So as you can see, it's actually lost a bit of value, sitting at $134.28 a year ago. So it's lost about $1 in value. I still think it's going to rise quite substantially, considering we're just exiting the bear market starting in January, I believe. So next is the final product, Crown Zenith ETB, sitting at $41.56 right now for its market price. 3 months ago, sitting at $44.14. If you look at the 1-year chart, it was sitting at $63.44. So this one, with all the releases and all the packs being slowly dripped out onto the market, it has lost quite a lot of value. It's still one of the best sets, in my opinion, from the Sword and Shield era, so definitely want to keep an eye on it in the future. But yeah, it has lost like $22 in value. But nonetheless, let me know down below in the comments section, what is your favorite set from the Sword and Shield era, and do you agree with some of my opinions on here? I'd love to know your thoughts about that. My personal favorite, besides Evolving Skies, which in my opinion is a little too expensive for me to buy a bunch of booster boxes for, is probably Brilliant Stars. I have to say Brilliant Stars. But if you disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.